I, female 38, am the primary breadwinner for my household. My husband, 42, is semi-retired due to an injury at work. He's a great husband and has taken over all the housework that needs to be done during the day. We share all the duties when I'm not working. Recently, his sister, her husband, and their 2 teen kids lost their home. We have a rental suite in our basement that we just use as a family area, so we agreed to let them live there. Because I'm paranoid, I had them sign a lease. A few days ago, my husband had an opportunity to do some consulting at his old work. He loves doing it because it gets him out of the house, and he gets to see his old coworkers and friends. It was short notice, so we hadn't arranged babysitting. We asked his sister to watch our youngest for the day so he could go to work, and she agreed. She then delegated this task to her young teen son. Then she had her nap. The kid didn't want to disturb his mom during her nap, so he banged on my door while I was working to change a diaper. Fair enough. If I were a young teen boy, I might not feel comfortable changing a baby girl. I asked where his mom was, and he said she was napping. I woke her up and told her that she had agreed to watch her niece and to do so. I waited for my husband to get home, and we discussed his family. We decided together that they needed to start paying the amount on the lease, leave, or start helping around the house. We took all the kids over to my mother-in-law's house. Then we sat them down and talked. We gave them their options. They said I was an idiot for tricking them into signing a lease agreement and not collecting it so I could evict them. I said that that wasn't the only choice. I said that she was the one who chose to lay responsibility on a child. I said that I was basically the one supporting her, and if she couldn't help, then she had to give me money or leave. Edit. Neither she nor her husband has a job right now. They're buying groceries with his unemployment benefits. I set up the lease because of horror stories I've heard about people claiming to be tenants. Not the idiot. You aren't threatening. You have healthy rules and boundaries. You're giving them a reasonable choice. Pay rent, contribute another way, or have a different living situation. There's nothing wrong with that. And good for you for setting up that lease. That was a brilliant move. They said I was an idiot for tricking them into signing a lease and then not collecting it so I could evict them. So they expected to live there for free indefinitely without you ever having the possibility of evicting them? That's ridiculous. However, is a lease that you don't collect the best option? Wouldn't you still have to pay tax on this income, even if you don't collect it? Unless the sister-in-law has health issues, physical or mental, having a nap when you're babysitting is wrong and weird. As an unemployed person who fought insomnia for years, there are plenty of reasons to need a nap. Unfortunately, even someone perfectly healthy can have a terrible night's sleep. The problem isn't that she had a nap. It's that she did it while she was supposed to be babysitting. I also get the feeling the young teen didn't want to wake his mom because he knew she would yell at him. Why wasn't the teen in school? Was the brother-in-law napping with sister-in-law? I would give the in-laws 30 days notice and be done. Delegating responsibility one time shouldn't be the last straw here. I feel this wasn't an isolated incident. Good for you for having them sign a lease. You're the only one working. They're not paying rent. One day to help you that they agreed to was not too much to ask. My partner, 31 male, and I, 27 female, live together in his house. I pay rent to help him contribute to his mortgage. I have my own room where I work from home. I go to the office once or twice a week. My partner also works from home, but goes into the office several times a week. My partner has a car, but refuses to drive his own to work. He drives a sports car and says he doesn't want his colleagues to see or judge him for this. So he's been driving my car for the past 3 years. Recently, the past year, I've been telling him to purchase his own car. He has the funds, and it's been interfering with my ability to leave the house. So I felt it was an appropriate ask. Whenever he takes my car, I'm unable to run any errands or leave the house unless I order an Uber because I don't know how to drive his stick sports car. This morning I was in a work meeting, and it was an important one for me. When I have an important meeting and I'm on camera, I often lock my door in case my partner accidentally walks in. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Midway into the call, a section where I would have to present was approaching, and my partner began knocking on my door. I texted him that I was on a call and asked what he was looking for. He said he needed one of my yoga towels as he was going to work and taking a yoga class with his coworkers. He attends these yoga classes every week, so I was irritated that he didn't prepare. I quickly turned off my camera and unlocked my door so he could grab it. After a few moments of looking, he started talking to me, and since I was on a call and actively listening, I don't know what he was saying, so I texted him, asking what he's looking for. He said he couldn't find a towel and just stood there. So to help him, I turned my camera off again and grabbed it for him. Rather than saying a quick thank you, he mumbled, "You're not even an important person on that call," and rushed out of my room. Anger took over, and I asked him to clarify what he said. He started talking about how he was late, that I wasn't even talking on the call, and that I was being dramatic. This made me so mad I yelled at him that I was asking him to consider why I was working so hard, as this was a crucial meeting. He tried to avoid the conversation and tried to leave, which he often does. So I got triggered and told him he couldn't take my car to work as I needed it in the afternoon and didn't feel like taking an Uber, but he was welcome to call a car. However, now I feel like I'm an idiot for limiting his ability to leave the home now. This is what I took from your story and how your boyfriend is selfish. He probably doesn't want to depreciate the value of his sports car, so he uses yours. And the other reason given is false. Doesn't care that it inconveniences you, and no mention of the added expense for you. Where on your car? Uber cost. Is he paying for gas? He considers his yoga more important than his job. He doesn't understand boundaries. You locked your door to ensure you're undisturbed. Most couples don't need a lock. He expected you to help him with menial tasks, find a towel, rather than doing your job. He verbally tells you that your meeting isn't important. He says you were unimportant for the meeting. Let's say, hypothetically, that your job isn't actually crucial or important. However one wants to define the worth of a job. That doesn't matter because you made it very clear that it's important to you. He didn't give two bits about that because he was late for his thing. Honey, get yourself a better boyfriend who actually respects you. Is his yoga class more important than your work? I don't think infants like adults are cute. If the world depended on him getting a yoga towel, he would have found one. Girl, leave. His lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on your part. Your texting him during your call should have been enough for him to know that if he can't find it, too bad. He can't consider any perspective but his own. He doesn't mind leaving you stranded. He just keeps you because you're contributing to his mortgage. Dump him. My husband and I have been married for a year, but have been dating for 3 years. My husband has 2 kids from a previous marriage, but they live full-time with him. One is preschool age, and the other is 2 years old. So on Sunday, it was just the kids and me. When I asked them what they wanted to eat, I suggested things they usually eat, like oatmeal and fruit, or protein pancakes, etc. I'm a first-gen Mexican-American, despite me looking very white myself. I said I'd make them some of the meals I knew and asked if they wanted to try them. They said yes. So I cut up the hot dogs and poured eggs on the pan, scrambled them, added a little bit of cheese, and put it on a piece of bread, lettuce, and tomato, and added a little bit of ketchup on the side of their plate. They loved it and said it was delicious. My husband and I had gone out, so they stayed with their grandparents. So we returned on Sunday afternoon, and my mother-in-law pulled us aside and said that the kids were asking her to make this sandwich that I had made and asked us why I would give her kids hot dogs for breakfast with eggs and how unhealthy it was. I was taken aback, but I also had to remember that she's an older middle-class white woman that lived in the suburbs of an affluent white neighborhood. So I explained to her that, growing up, eating that was something my mom did, as many Hispanic people did. My husband stepped in and said, "Hey, calm down. I've had it. It's really good, and I don't mind if the kids have it, so please." So I thought that was the end of it. But now Thanksgiving is coming, and we had agreed that it would be at our house. Now, she called me earlier this week to say that she thought it would be best if she did the cooking this year and at her house, because she kept asking what I was planning to make and how I made things because she didn't want anything weird on an American holiday. I told her, yeah, I know. I was born here and I've celebrated Thanksgiving all my life. So what's something weird I could make? And then she said it. Well, I was just wondering if you were going to make a Mexican twist on things. I said, that is very racist. And she gasped, saying, how could I say that? It's not racist because I am Mexican and I was the one giving the kids weird things. I shouldn't send them to school with ethnic food so they don't get bullied. I hung up and I was scared to tell my husband, but I told him when he came home from work and he was angry and told his mom that she could stay home and eat dry, bland turkey if she wanted to because we were having Thanksgiving. And if she wanted to come, she needed to apologize and mean it. I know what she said is wrong, but I feel bad because she said I ruined Thanksgiving by being sensitive and dramatic, and now the family will be split up because of me. Not the idiot. The family won't be split up because of you, but because of your mother-in-law's actions. Equating Mexican food with weird food is an insult, and it isn't sensitive or dramatic to be insulted by what she said. She's just trying to shift the blame when she's at fault. I'm glad your husband has your back. So your food was weird, which I find ironic because the breakfast you described involves hot dogs, which screams America to me and also sounds delicious. She also indicated your stepkids would be bullied for bringing ethnic food to class. I doubt this will be the case, but the implication was manipulative and rude. Yay to your husband supporting you. I understand wanting a traditional Thanksgiving meal, but holy heck, your mother-in-law's being an idiot. You're the one being sensitive and dramatic? I don't think so. Classic case of mother-in-law projecting on you because she got called out on her crap. Have Thanksgiving at your house and enjoy it, although it sounds to me like it'd definitely be better if she weren't there. So I have hearing damage in one ear, and I sometimes have trouble hearing stuff the first time, depending on if they're on the side with my bad ear. I also started a new job recently and went out for the first time with several coworkers. After a few drinks, this guy I didn't know came up to me at the bar, which was pretty loud and crowded, and said something to me that I only half caught, but I could tell the vibe of it was that someone had a problem with me being gay, and he'd suggest I don't go saying that I'm gay around work. I thought he was doing me a solid. I'm a lesbian in a state that's not too friendly to that. And often at a new job, someone will pull me aside and warn me who the bigots are at the office. I always appreciate it because, honestly, that whisper network has saved my butt a few times. But I didn't really hear the name he said, so I went, "Who?" He seemed surprised, like the guy is someone I should obviously know. And I was like, "Who did you say?" And he said a name I still didn't catch. I was feeling kind of embarrassed. I'm honestly sort of insecure about my hearing, so I didn't want to ask him to repeat it a fourth time. So I was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry, but I'm blanking on the name. Could you point him out?" I was still assuming he meant some coworker at the bar. He was going like, "What the heck? No, I can't," and acting mad that I didn't know this guy. And I started to get a little frustrated and said, "Dude, seriously, you're trying to tell me to look out for someone, and you can't even tell me which guy you're warning me about?" At this point, he raised his voice at me and yelled that it was Jesus. I realized then he's not trying to warn me of some bigoted idiot at work. He was that idiot. This is where I might really be an idiot. It had finally clicked for me. Took me long enough, I know. But at that point, I was starting to find making this guy angry kind of funny. So I just went, "Dude, no need to cuss me out for asking." He said he wasn't cussing me out. I said, "So seriously, who is it? Because you're honestly freaking me out, man." And asked several times while he got increasingly frustrated and said, "Jesus." To which I went, "Language, man." I'm not talking to you if you keep cussing me out." He got mad and stormed off, and I returned to the table with my coworkers. A few of my colleagues asked me what was up. It looked like something I said upset him. I was like, "I don't know. It was so weird." He was talking about how I should hide that I'm gay at work because he knew some guy here would have a problem with it, but he wouldn't tell me what guy. And I hate to say this, but I'm starting to think there isn't another guy. My coworker said I should still tell HR, and I was like, maybe. I definitely will if he says anything again. I do feel a little conflicted about that though, since past a certain point, I was just poking the bear. Am I the idiot for pretending not to know Jesus? Not the idiot. I think your response was appropriate and hilarious. I love how you pretended to be offended by his taking the Lord's name in vain every time he said Jesus. I think I'll steal that. Even though it was unintentional at the beginning, it was a hilarious and fantastic way to handle him. Yes, go to HR. They probably won't be able to do anything because it was off-work property and hours, but you'll have it on record. Also, document every time he does or says something inappropriate. Never be alone with him whenever possible. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate from cat people, but I have to be honest. I hate cats. I think their litter boxes are gross, and I can't stand the smell. Also, everyone involved in this situation is an adult. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, here's my problem. My parents are hosting Thanksgiving this year, and they invited immediate and extended family. It's going to be huge. My siblings and I own our own houses, so we're splitting up the out-of-town family members so no one will have to overpay for hotel rooms. I'm hosting the single cousins so they can have a little fun outside of family time. My cousins started to arrive yesterday. Shelby arrived, and when I opened the door, I saw her standing there with a big smile, her luggage, and a pet carrier. I pointed to the carrier and asked, "What's that?" She happily told me she had just adopted a cat and didn't want to leave it at home with her roommates. I stood at the door for too long without letting her in, so things got awkward. I admit I didn't have a no pets rule, but I didn't think I had to. I thought that asking the host if they're cool with pets before bringing them was one of those unwritten rules that people just automatically follow. You know, you don't have to tell every adult coming into your house not to pee in the kitchen sink. Besides, no one else brought their pets, and a couple owned dogs. Finally, she asked if she could come in, and that brought me back to my senses. I told her I don't allow pets in my house and that her cat couldn't come in. She thought I was joking, but when I didn't move, we started to argue. Finally, the other cousins came to see what the commotion was about, and in the end, a couple of cousins left with her while the rest remained. My parents called to chew me out, saying that I could have put up with Shelby and her cat for a couple of days, while I argued that it's rude to bring a pet without asking first. Plus, I don't want my house to smell like a cat. They said I'm making Thanksgiving awkward, and now I feel a little bad. I don't feel bad enough to let Shelby and her cat in, though. Am I the idiot for not letting my cousin and her cat stay at my house because I hate cats? Not the idiot. The absolute nerve in just showing up with a pet without telling the host is crazy. Never in 1,000 years would I think it'd be appropriate to do such a thing. I adore cats, and I'd never pull this on someone. And to be fair, I would never be okay with someone showing up at my house with their cat or dog. However, you are right that it's pretty much an unwritten rule not to just show up with an animal. Do not bend on this, because if you let the cat stay there once, it'll happen again. I'm not even sure it's unwritten. You should never bring a pet to someone's house without asking. I'm allergic to cats, but the answer is no, even if someone showed up with a dog. And I am one of those people who loves dogs too much. I like my place to be allergen-free for guests, and I have zero trust that someone who brings a pet without warning, especially a brand new one, will cover any damages their animal does during their stay. The just adopted part makes it worse. The poor cat's already trying to adjust to a new home. new routines, and new people, when suddenly they're moved somewhere new again, with the stress of a long car ride or even a flight, and they're now surrounded by a ton of unknown people. That poor baby. OP, let Shelby and her cat stay at your mom's then.